All right, so today we are going to really jump into product management in SAFe 6.0. Specifically, we're exploring what it's like to be a product manager on an Agile Release Train, or RT, which can be a pretty fascinating role with a lot of responsibility. So if you are working on large-scale projects with multiple Agile teams, this deep dive is definitely for you.
You got that right.
Oh.
An RT is like a synchronized train made up of Agile teams, all chugging along towards a common business goal.
I like that visual. I can definitely see that. So what is the product manager doing on this train? Are they like laying down the tracks or calling out the stops?
Well, they're definitely not just a passenger along for the ride.
Right.
The product manager in SAFe has a very multifaceted role.
I bet.
They are responsible for defining the product vision and strategy. And making sure it aligns with the overall business goals.
So they're like the architect of the product, kind of sketching out the blueprints while keeping an eye on the destination.
That is a great analogy.
Thanks.
But it's more than just drawing up plans.
Right.
They also need to know the lay of the land, so to speak. Market analysis is a big part of the job.
Makes sense.
It's all about understanding the customer, their needs, and the opportunities that exist.
So it's like scouting out the terrain before breaking ground on a new building, right? Making sure they're building the right thing in the right place.
That's precisely.
But
once they have that vision and market understanding, they need to turn that into a roadmap. And this is where things get even more interesting. The product manager needs to prioritize features, make those tough decisions about what gets built when, and essentially guide the development journey.
It's not just about having the ideas, it's about like actually making the plan to bring it to life.
Exactly. And they need to keep that train running smoothly. Removing any roadblocks or obstacles that pop up along the way. That's what we call value stream management in SAFe.
So that sounds like a lot to juggle.
It is.
Are they also in charge of like keeping all the passengers happy, all the stakeholders?
Absolutely. Stakeholder management is a huge part of the role. They're the bridge between the development team, the customers, and the executives. It's all about communication, transparency, making sure everyone is aligned on the product's progress.
Wow, you're making me a little anxious just thinking about all that. So how does a product manager even keep their head above water with all of that going on?
Well, they have to be masters of prioritization. Constantly making decisions about what gets built first and why, balancing business value with customer needs and technical feasibility.
So it's about making those tough calls and sometimes having to say no to certain features or requests.
You got it. It's about making strategic choices that align with the product vision and the overall roadmap. And speaking of roadmaps, let's not forget release planning. The product manager works closely with others, especially during PI planning, which is kind of SAFe's version of sprint planning, but for the entire RT.
So for the whole train. So I'm starting to see how critical this role is, especially in this large-scale Agile environment. Like, SAFe is a big job. It sounds like the product manager is kind of like the glue that holds everything together. But with all of these responsibilities, how do they actually collaborate effectively with everyone else on the Agile Release Train, particularly with the Release Train engineer, who we've been kind of calling the conductor of this train?
That's a great question. It goes to the heart of how SAFe works in practice. It's not just about individual roles. It's about a team working together toward a common goal.
So it's a real dynamic duo situation, not just like two people working in silos.
Definitely not. They need to work together seamlessly. And one of the most important aspects of that collaboration happens during PI planning.
You mentioned PI planning before. Can you tell me a little bit more about how the product manager and the release train engineer work together during that process?
Absolutely. So PI planning is a big event where all the teams on the RT come together to plan the next program increment, which is essentially a time box of several sprints. The release train engineer facilitates that entire event, making sure everyone has a voice and the process flows smoothly. But the product manager is a key player as well, providing input on the roadmap, future priorities, and any dependencies that need to be considered.
So they're both involved in like guiding the train, but from different perspectives.
Exactly. The release train engineer is focused on the process and making sure the teams can work together effectively. The product manager is focused on the product and ensuring the RT delivers value to the customer.
So it's like a partnership built on complementary skills.
Exactly.
Okay, but does their collaboration extend beyond just the planning stage?
Definitely.
Okay.
Both attend system demos.
Okay.
Where they can see the actual progress made during the program increment and get feedback from stakeholders.
Right.
It's a chance to celebrate successes and identify areas for improvement.
So they're both invested in actually seeing the product come to life.
Exactly.
And not just the plans on paper.
Not just the plan.
Okay, I'm starting to see how their collaboration really brings that balance of process and vision to the RT.
You're getting it.
Thanks.
And it goes beyond just demos.
Okay.
They also work together on risk management.
Because let's be real, no project goes perfectly smoothly.
Right.
So how do they approach risk management as a team?
They work together to identify potential risks early on.
Okay.
And figure out how to mitigate them.
Okay.
The product manager, with their deep understanding of the product and market, might identify a risk related to a specific feature or dependency.
Makes sense.
And the release train engineer, with their expertise in process and team dynamics, might identify a risk related to team capacity or communication.
So they're both bringing their unique perspectives to the table, scanning the horizon for potential storms, and figuring out how to navigate around them.
That's a great way to put it.
Thanks.
And speaking of keeping things on track,
the
release train engineer plays a vital role in impediment removal.
Okay.
If the product manager hits a roadblock, the RTE steps in to help clear the path.
So the product manager is focusing on the what of the product, and the RTE is focusing on the how.
Exactly.
Okay.
Ensuring the teams have what they need to succeed.
Gotcha. And finally, let's not forget about continuous improvement. They're both always looking for ways to improve the process, whether it's optimizing the flow of value or helping the teams become even more effective. It sounds like it's a partnership that is constantly evolving and learning, just like the product itself.
That's exactly right.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here, from understanding the Agile Release Train to unpacking the unique and very demanding role of a product manager within this safe structure. But I'm curious, what are some best practices that can really help a product manager thrive in this environment?
That's a great question, and it's something we can dive into after a quick break.
Okay, sounds good.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back. So before the break, we were talking about that crucial partnership between the product manager and the release train engineer in SAFE. But now I want to kind of dig into some of those best practices that can help a product manager really thrive in this environment.
Well, one of the most important things for a SAFE product manager is to embrace continuous learning.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Well, the tech world moves fast. Right? New methodologies, tools, technologies are constantly emerging. A product manager who's committed to staying ahead of the curve will be much better equipped to navigate the complexities of SAFE.
So it's about being a lifelong learner, always curious, eager to expand their knowledge.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
And that learning shouldn't be limited to just technical skills.
Okay.
Building strong relationships is equally important.
Right.
Remember, SAFE is all about collaboration. A product manager who can build trust and rapport with their team, stakeholders, other leaders within the organization will be far more effective.
I imagine that can be challenging with so many different personalities and perspectives involved.
It can.
Do you have any tips for building those strong relationships?
It starts with being a good listener. Really understanding the needs and concerns of others. It's also about clear communication. Being transparent about your decisions and thought processes. And honestly, don't underestimate the power of simply being a decent human being. Being respectful, approachable, willing to help others.
It sounds like emotional intelligence is just as important as technical expertise in this role.
Absolutely.
It's not enough to just know the SAFE framework. You have to be able to actually work effectively with people.
I have to be able to work with people. And
never lose sight of the customer. Focus on customer value.
At the end of the day, SAFE is all about delivering value to the customer. A product manager who keeps that front and center will be able to make better decisions, prioritize the right features.
It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day chaos of managing an RT.
It is.
But ultimately, it's about solving problems. For real people.
For real people.
Good reminder.
It is. And to do that effectively, you need transparency and communication. keep everyone informed and aligned on the product's progress, the challenges you're facing, the decisions being made.
Yeah.
This helps build trust.
Okay.
And ensures that everyone is working towards the same goal.
That makes sense. The more everyone understands the big picture, the better equipped they are to actually contribute.
Exactly.
But how does a product manager ensure that they're making the right decisions in this complex environment?
That's where data-driven decision-making comes in.
Oh, okay.
Using data to guide your choices.
Right.
Whether it's market research, customer feedback, or metrics on product usage.
You mentioned data-driven decision-making.
I did.
But what happens when the data is scarce or conflicting?
Yeah.
Or what if you have a gut feeling that contradicts the data?
That's where experience and intuition come into play.
Okay.
Data is a powerful tool.
Yeah.
But it's not always the whole story.
Right.
Sometimes you have to make judgment calls based on your understanding of the market, the customer, the product itself.
So it's about finding that balance between those data-driven insights and your own kind of gut instinct.
Your gut.
Yeah, you can't just rely solely on one or the other.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about using all the tools at your disposal to make the best possible decisions for the product and the customer.
Okay, so we talked about continuous learning, building relationships, focusing on customer value, using data to guide decisions. Are there any other best practices that are really crucial for success as a safe product manager?
One more that's absolutely essential is mastering the art of prioritization.
Okay.
You're constantly being asked to do more with less. To deliver more value faster. You have to be ruthless.
Wow, okay.
In prioritizing features and making trade-offs.
I can imagine that can be a source of conflict.
It can be.
Especially when you have different stakeholders with different priorities. How do you handle those tough conversations? Well, it's about having a clear framework for prioritization. In SAFE, we often use WSJF, which stands for Weighted Shortest Job First. It's a way of quantifying the value of different features and then prioritizing based on the cost of delay.
So instead of just like making decisions based on who shouts the loudest, you have a data-driven approach to help guide those conversations.
To help explain your reasoning and make decisions that are aligned with the overall business goals.
Okay, so continuous learning, strong relationships, customer focus, data-driven decisions, mastering the art of prioritization.
That's right.
Those are some solid best practices.
They are.
But even with all of that, it sounds like there are still some inherent challenges.
There are.
That come with being a product manager in SAFE.
Absolutely.
What are some of the most common hurdles that you've observed?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is balancing the strategic vision with the tactical execution.
You're responsible for the long-term roadmap of the product. But you're also dealing with the day-to-day demands of the Agile Release Train.
So it's like you're trying to keep one eye on the distant horizon while the other eye is focused on like the immediate obstacles in front of you.
Exactly.
How do you manage that tension?
It's a constant balancing act.
Yeah.
You need to be able to switch gears quickly to zoom in and out as needed. And you need to be comfortable with ambiguity. SAFE is a framework, not a rigid set of rules. There's always room for interpretation and adaptation.
So you have to be flexible, adaptable, comfortable operating in a somewhat uncertain environment.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that leads to another big challenge. Managing dependencies.
Okay.
With so many teams working in parallel on an RT, things can get tangled pretty quickly.
It's like a giant, intricate web with all these threads interconnected.
That's a great analogy.
So how do you keep track of all those dependencies? And ensure that they don't derail the train?
Visibility is key.
Okay.
SAFE provides tools like the program Kanban and dependency boards that help visualize those dependencies. It's also about clear communication and collaboration between teams.
So even with the best planning, things can still go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
How does a product manager in SAFE handle those unexpected bumps in the road?
That's where adaptability and resilience come into play. Because the only constant is change. Market conditions shift, Customer needs evolve, new technologies emerge.
Right.
A product manager in SAFe
Yeah.
has to be comfortable navigating a constantly changing landscape.
So it's not just about like following a plan.
Right.
It's about being able to adjust course when needed.
Adjust course.
Yeah, and keep the RT moving forward.
Keep moving.
And that tough into another challenge, which is measuring success.
Right.
How do you know if you're actually succeeding?
Right.
Defining the right metrics and tracking progress effectively can be tricky.
It can.
Especially in a complex environment like SAFe.
Absolutely.
So it's not enough to just build the product.
Right.
You have to prove it's actually valuable.
Yeah.
And delivering the intended outcomes. I'm sensing a theme here. A lot of these challenges seem to come back to the need for effective communication, collaboration, adaptability.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Those are the foundational skills
Right.
that will help a product manager overcome almost any challenge they face in SAFe.
Okay, so we painted a pretty realistic picture of the challenges.
Yeah.
But let's not leave our listeners hanging.
Okay.
What are some practical strategies for overcoming these hurdles and thriving as a product manager in this SAFe world?
That's a great question, and it's one we can delve into right after this quick break.
Sounds good. We'll be right back. So we've explored some of those unique challenges that a product manager faces in the SAFe world.
Right.
But now let's shift gears and talk solutions.
Okay.
What practical advice can you offer to help product managers navigate these complexities and really thrive in this environment?
What it all comes back to those core principles of SAFe,
Okay.
which emphasize alignment, collaboration, and built-in quality.
Right, but how do those principles translate into like actionable strategies for a product manager who's grappling with these challenges on a daily basis?
Well, let's start with effective communication.
Okay.
This is absolutely essential in any agile environment.
Yeah.
But it's even more critical in SAFe, where you have multiple teams working together on an RT.
So it's not just about being a good communicator.
Right.
It's about mastering the art of communication in a complex multi-team setting.
Precisely. You need to be able to articulate your vision clearly.
Okay.
Listen actively to feedback from all stakeholders.
Right.
And build strong relationships across the board.
It sounds exhausting.
It can be.
You're not just managing a product, you're managing people.
That's right.
That requires a very high level of communication.
It does.
Any tips for like navigating those communication complexities?
Transparency is key.
Okay.
Be open and honest about the challenges you're facing.
Yeah.
The decisions you're making.
Right.
The reasoning behind them.
Okay.
The more you can keep everyone informed, the more likely you are to build trust and keep everyone moving in the same direction.
So it's about being proactive and communicative.
Yes.
Rather than letting misunderstandings or miscommunications fester and potentially derail the train.
Exactly. And that leads to another powerful tool. Regular retrospectives.
Oh, okay.
And this isn't just a box to tick on the Agile checklist.
Right.
It's a dedicated time to reflect on what's working,
Okay.
what's not working,
Yeah.
and how the team can continuously improve.
I've been part of retrospectives that felt like a waste of time. Just going through the motions without any real insights or action items coming out of them.
Yeah, you've hit on a common pitfall.
So how can a product manager ensure that those retrospectives are actually valuable and lead to tangible improvements?
The key is to create a safe and open environment where everyone feels comfortable sharing their thoughts and ideas, even if they're critical.
Even the negative stuff.
Yeah. And it's also important to focus on actionable takeaways.
Okay.
Don't just identify the problems.
Yeah.
Come up with concrete steps to address them.
So it's about creating that culture of continuous improvement.
Absolutely.
Where the team is constantly learning and evolving.
Constantly learning and evolving.
Okay, and that brings us to another important point.
Yeah.
Leveraging the SAFe framework itself.
Right.
SAFe provides like a wealth of tools and techniques that can be incredibly helpful in overcoming challenges.
Absolutely.
Can you give us some specific examples of how those tools can be applied in practice? I know we've talked about some of them, like WSJF for prioritization.
Right.
And the program Kanban for visualizing work.
Yep.
Are there any other tools that are particularly useful for product managers?
Well, one that comes to mind is value stream mapping.
Okay.
This is a powerful technique for visualizing that entire flow of value from concept to delivery.
Right.
It helps identify bottlenecks, dependencies, areas where the process can be streamlined.
So it's like creating a map of the entire journey.
Yeah.
So you can see where the roadblocks are and find ways to smooth out the path.
Exactly. And by using these tools and techniques effectively, product managers can address challenges proactively.
Right.
And ensure that Agile Release Train stays on track.
This has been incredibly insightful.
Oh, good.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From understanding that unique role of the product manager in SAFe.
Yeah.
To exploring the challenges and some practical strategies for success.
Absolutely.
Any final words of wisdom for our listeners?
Sure. Who are either working in SAFe or considering a career as a product manager in this environment?
My advice would be, embrace the complexity.
Okay.
SAFe is a powerful framework, but it's not a silver bullet.
Right.
It requires a deep understanding of agile principles, a willingness to adapt and learn, and a passion for delivering value to customers.
Okay.
If you're up for the challenge, it can be an incredibly rewarding career path.
Well said. And on that note, I want to thank you, our expert guest, for joining us on this deep dive into the world of product management in SAFe 6.0.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey.
Yeah.
We hope you found it valuable.
Yeah.
Remember, the world of SAFe is constantly evolving, so keep learning, keep experimenting.
Keep experimenting.
And keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
That's right.
Until next time.